Today is part 2 of the interview with Double Trouble Philly Cheesesteak. Today we're talking about how you can set up the next shift for success. Welcome to the 10-Minute Food Truck Training Podcast. My name is Bill Moore. I am a food truck business coach, author of 5 food truck vending books, including Food Truck 101 and Food Truck 201. This podcast is all about helping you start and grow your food truck business.
I was never really a runner. The way I see running is a gift, especially when you have stage 4 cancer. I'm Anne. I'm running the Boston Marathon, presented by Bank of America. I run for Dana-Farber Cancer Institute to give people like me a chance to thrive in life, even with cancer.
Join Bank of America in helping Anne's cause. Give if you can at BofA.com/supportAnne. What would you like the power to do? References to charitable organizations is not an endorsement by Bank of America Corporation. Copyright 2025.
That's a great goal. Kind of what you're thinking about, your thought process is what a lot of financial planners are talking about now as far as generational wealth. Because if you guys can take the business and make it successful, then it's going to leave something for your kids and then hopefully those grandkids you haven't gotten yet.
Yeah.
And they'll have a job in the future too. There's a lot of kids that grow up in, food service, and they're able to do things that other children don't really understand because, they know what a business is like and they know what a family business is like. And that's a great opportunity for able to do that. So let's continue on that road with challenges. I know a couple of weeks ago, I think maybe 3 weeks ago was the very first time that you guys weren't there. How was that?
So that was the first time that, I think Lori and Keith came later.
Right.
I didn't go at all to the truck market. I just went there, set up, and I left. That was the first day. Yeah. And it was great. The guys were there. They got there on time. They were gung-ho. Drew especially, because Drew doesn't like the feeling of looking around or sitting around when he's on the clock, which is a great, great attitude to have.
Yep.
He's like, he'll say to me, so when I do this, is it okay if I do this? I've worked with Drew and I've seen me go over maybe to wash a dish or to fix something and he jumped right in. It doesn't matter where I left off. He was able to go in and fill my shoes. That felt super good to me. Anyway, I left that day, set up, and Lori came later, so Lori could probably tell you what was going on when she left, but they did a great job. They did a great job. They're both very good. I think Andrew's a little shyer than Mark. Mark knows how to jump it. He gets a little of that from us, I guess, from hearing us and seeing us all the time. And definitely the kids have it as far as that. But that day on the truck, they did really well. They were excited. I think they were up for the challenge, and I think they really wanted to do well for us. I really do. They had great attitudes about it.
So how nervous were you when you left the truck?
Ooh, I think Lori was more nervous than anybody because Lori's always had
because I can't,
Ooh. And me, I kind of let it go. I don't even think I called Lori until later that evening. I didn't call because I ain't going to hear nothing. But
right.
And she didn't call me with no Maydays, so we were good.
No, and here's the funny thing, Bill. Mark and Andrew, because they have both worked with us together and separately, they know we work very different.
Right.
And so they it's funny that they understand that. When I got on that truck, and I don't think they were there. I wouldn't even say it was a full 3 hour because I wasn't gonna just leave it that way.
Right.
But it wasn't. I didn't want to put them through. But it wasn't a full 3 hours. But when we got there, I promise you, everything was in place. The boys, Mark had already talked to Drew, and they had things straightened up because they even said they had this little joke. They was like, they work very differently. So they both understand that. And everything was in place. And those boys flowed that day. They were amazing. They really was. I was so excited. I actually asked them to work November 12th without no backup because Lauren would just be fresh out of surgery and my husband and I have a wedding. And so I asked them if they were up for it. I asked one of my sons if they would be there to be the customer service cashier manager type deal. They said yes. And so I'm just hoping the boys, but those guys were amazing. They knew how I like the stuff clean. And even this past Saturday, I worked with the two of them and I was able to implement a little bit more of my training. So I was able to say, look, guys, in between, just make sure, Drew, that you straightening up, making sure there's no dish towels down on the sink. Right. I said, it's very important what people see when they walk up to the window. Mm-hmm. And I said, so I had a place for everything. And I said, Mark, in between, Mark doesn't like to clean his grill a lot in between, especially if he know it's busy and people coming. I said, Mark, in between, I need you to just scrape it down because people are actually looking to see where their food is. And when they look, they don't realize you just got through making 20 sandwiches. They don't really care. That next person just walked up and was like, oh my God. So I said, it's very important to me what they see when they walk in. But he was like, yes, ma'am. And so they were proud of it.
Look, and talk about working differently. When Drew got an order, the last week I was there, Drew got an order and it was 3 containers. And so he handed them to me without a bag. And I said, no, Drew, put those in the bag. And I said, it's going to make it easy for me to carry. I'll deliver them. And Drew was like, okay, well, Sister Lori doesn't like to use the bags. I said, Lori ain't here, boy, put that stuff in the bag and come on here.
And it's not, and I think it's just that notice because it's not that I don't like to use the bag. I tell them, I say, ask them if they need a bag. And most of them will say no. Then we don't have to waste the inventory.
Yeah, it's just one.
So I say, just ask them if they're eating, if they need a bag or whatever. And most of them will say no. And then some will come back who might have their sandwich left over. Say, can I get a bag to go to put my stuff in? And we'll give them a bag then. But most of them say, nah, we eating here. And so I'm like, don't waste the inventory.
But it was 3 containers, so he wasn't getting the corn.
Yeah, he wasn't thinking that.
And then I was going to carry it. So he was like, Sister Lori don't like to use the bags.
Sister Lori be paying for the inventory. Sister Lori be trying to make sure. Sister Lori be trying to make sure we don't be just wasting stuff.
I think it's also important to point out to people that most of the guests that come to your house truck are going to take your food and go sit in a covered picnic area that the beer garden provides. So it's not like you're making them carry, 6 things out to their car.
Right.
They're just walking to the table. That's so good. But you know what? That tells you that he cares about the business because he wants to do what he's been taught.
Right.
Yeah. And that's super important.
It is.
Absolutely.
That's super important. Let's talk about the future. You're talking about getting off the truck. That's the title of the most recent book. That's something I really want people to be able to do because until you're able to step off the truck, you don't really have a business. You have a self-created job.
Exactly.
At the point that you guys can say go a whole day and not even show up at the truck, how far do you think you're away from that point?
November 12th.
November 12th. There will be no one else.
I mean, not me or Lauren anyway.
Right.
But one of our boys, hopefully, or her daughter, one of them will be there, but we won't. And if none of our kids can't be there, we're still going to let Mark and Drew go forward.
Okay.
So November 12th will be that first run.
So they'll be completely in charge of all the food as far as
everything.
Prep work. They'll be in charge of all the cash.
The money.
Yes.
The money. So they're opening, they're cooking, prepping, serving, and then closing.
And cleaning up. Yes.
And cleaning up.
Yeah.
Now, you guys are able to leave the trailer on site, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
They don't have to tow it or anything.
No.
Right. Okay.
And not packing the travel is more than half the battle.
Right. It is.
Absolutely.
That's a good hour, at least on both ends, as far as unpacking.
Yes.
And unpacking. Yeah.
And since we're open Friday night and I'm not going to be there Saturday, I will assure that everything, when they get on that truck, all they have to do is wash their hands, put on their aprons, and go to work. They won't have all the prep and everything will be there that they need. So when they come in on that Saturday, and then of course they can call me if they have any questions. And Lauren, even though she'll be home, but they can definitely call her to answer. Yeah, sure.
They can call me.
That's all the time, so that won't be nothing new. That would not be a new thing.
You make a very good point about setting them up. You're going to do everything you possibly can Friday night so that they're set up.
Yes.
Restaurants refer to that as setting up the next shift for success.
Yes.
And really, everyone should have that mentality, whether you're going to be there tomorrow or not. When you leave in the evening, the trailers or the truck should be set up for the success of the next shift because you just never know what's going to happen.
Absolutely.
Because as soon as you put something off tonight, I'll just catch it in the morning. Something will happen. You won't be able to.
Absolutely. I'll cut up the onions and put them in a baggie and have them in the refrigerator. So when they come in, all they do is get the onions on. The meat already, that's already in the freezer, out of the box, already in the freezer, ready to go. All the prep fridge. I'll have the jalapeno peppers, the banana peppers, mushroom. We put them all in our prep fridge. I'll wrap them with one layer of saran wrap and then put the lid on them. All they do is open. The cheese they will open because I like my cheese to stay fully wrapped until the next day because I don't want it to get hard. But other than that, I'll cut up tomatoes. They'll have everything ready to go. All they have to do is turn on that propane and get it going and open that window. And I always tell them, I said, once that first box of meat is halfway done, he can open up the window and start taking orders and go to work.
So how much lead time do they need as far as they show up, they got to do prep, and when can they open? How long does that take?
Not even 30 minutes. Because when I prep, even for myself the next day, all I have to do, everything is done. I want everything done. Absolutely. I want it closed. Absolutely. And this is one of the things I'm working on to write in my training manual. Everything. Even when you wash the dishes the night before, I don't want them sitting in the rack. Put them where they go, because then you don't come in trying to put everything in its proper place, and then you can. That's too much. That's too much backtracking for me. Mm-hmm. When Mark gets on that truck, he take the bag of onions, put them in the cooker thing, turn them on, go to the grill, light it up, throw the meat on. He's done. Now, if they got to come in and clean something from the night before, take out a bag of trash from the night before, wash some dish because I let it soak. No, you're already 30 minutes behind the 8 ball to me. When you come in, you go to work. And that's how I set things up. Put everything where it belongs, then you're not looking for it. I like to try to keep things uniform because sometimes me, with my mental health, I like to sometimes I'm listening to things. I'm listening to Zig Ziglar. I'm listening to motivation. I'm listening to a preacher or music. So sometimes if I know where things are, I don't have to think. What you call that? Like muscle memory, they call it in certain things, but not muscle memory. But I don't know what the word is.
Just automatic.
I don't have to think. Yeah, autopilot. Everything is where it needs to be, and I'm like this, and I can go to work. And so that's just how I like to operate. It just makes things a lot more easier for me. And I try to do that for my staff, especially if I know I'm not going to be there early. I try to make sure when you come to that truck behind me that you don't have to think about anything. You know where it is.
Tomorrow we're going to be talking about how the logo is staying the same, but the business is going to be different. Thank you so much for listening to the 10-Minute Food Truck Training Podcast. If you're finding all the information helpful to your food truck business, please become a monthly supporter of the podcast. Just hit the support button or follow the link in the description. Every little bit does help keep us going. Join our Facebook group. It's called Food Truck Training. We have a whole bunch of awesome members at all different levels, from brand new beginners to decades-old veterans. They've all got your back when it comes to helping you with your food truck. And again, thank you for listening. Come back tomorrow because I got plenty more to say when it comes to helping you and your food truck business grow.